Hey Chuck, man, this AZN, that's like a, let's see what that float on this is like going to be in the billions probably. Let me see here. It says 632, but I feel like it might even be more than that. Morning, guys. What's going on? Holla Dalla. Hold on here one sec. I got to just fluff my cafe. All right, and welcome to the big show. Strengthen the markets. We got a small gap down, like 0.3%, which is essentially flat. I wouldn't read too much into like a flat open. Frankly, at this stage in the market cycle, as we're getting so close to all-time highs on the Nasdaq, I would rather have flat opens than anything else. If you have a flat open, at least you have the ability to make decisions. You can go either way on your particular stocks. When you start gapping up and you're this extended, it takes out all the range and really a lot of the fun in the market. Like yesterday, for example, because we're getting extended. Like yesterday, we gapped up and the market shredded to the upside, but you weren't seeing very many individual stocks following the market yesterday. So the market is just cooking, but like a lot of the stocks we had on our watch list were doing what? They were just sitting around playing with their wieners. Like it was not following through. And part of that is because of an extension in the market that's happening when you start testing the top of the Bollinger Band. You get overbought stochastics, your eye test, your market breadth. These are the four things that you can always measure to see if the market is extended, right? So you have the chart, you have the eye test, you have market breadth, your stochastics, Bollinger Bands, right? Your technical analysis. When all those things start to whip one way, that's when the market can act a little bit more choppy. And that's kind of what you saw yesterday. You had that, the market is up a lot and it's cooking, but not everything was cooking with it. And so those are kind of things that we have to always take into account when we're trading. So let's take a look. We have the high of yesterday that could act as a little bit of resistance. Obviously, if it just busts through, then you start to kind of make your way into a new range. We are a little bit extended over here, so it won't be an easy bust through. But the market is just on steroids right now. If you think about it, we're 6 points. We are 2 days, two normal up days in the market away from all-time highs on the Nasdaq. Go figure, right? We're 2 days away from all-time highs on the Nasdaq, and it's not our place to say whether that's good or bad or what's going to happen. It just is what it is, if that makes sense. So we just trade the action on this. So the levels to keep an eye on are just 231. Now there's a handful of other things that I think that we need to be watching. First of all, the SPY is not near highs, right? It's still got a lot of work to do. But I do suspect with the NASDAQ getting so extended and the SPY is right under the 200 SMA. So what I want you guys to do is set an alert 1 point under the 200 SMA on the SPY. So the 200 SMA is 29.58. Set an alert 1 point under. So just right click on your TC2000, create a price alert. If we start getting close to that 200 SMA and we get one big push into the NASDAQ, so you get one big push into the NASDAQ that takes it pretty much out of the top of this Bollinger Band, one big push into this and then one push into the 300 spot on the SPY. I think for the day, we'll probably get a really good short setup where, things will start to fade off. They'll turn the juice on for some of those names. Now, it doesn't mean that the market will roll over permanently or anything like that. because the short-term price action and the intermediate-term price action is just showing trend. But if we start to hit this 300 SPY, one more big push on the NASDAQ, my plan is, at least for that day and maybe into the next day, we'll take some short positions. I think we'll get some selling come into those spots, especially with the market being so extended. I think that's probably the smart play to do. Let's take a look at some of the earnings plays, and then from there, what we'll do is look at kind of just like some regular stocks that are showing some good patterns. And of course, anything you guys are watching, Tasty, Chris, Brad, will send me your tickers. So let's take a look. So ACB, and this thing's a monster turd, but yeah, it dropped like 50% off its highs, or 40% off its highs. It's got a PR. They made some acquisition. I don't know if that means anything. I mean, who are we to say? I think the key is, like, if it starts to cook and, you know, you want to see, like, how it reacts around that 19 spot. You know, it had a really big fall. It wasn't on, like, monster volume, but it was a lot of volume selling. It tapped into 9 EMA. Now you're going. I think the big spot's going to be, like, this kind of 19 area. If you start to build into it, you know, maybe you get along. Maybe I'm just biased knowing that this thing is just like a big, giant, smelly turd. The chart looks good, though. It does move really well. So it had a reverse split, a 1 to 12 reverse split. So the float on it is much smaller than it used to be. So it's moving a lot better right now than it was, like, say, 1 month ago. So when you're looking at this, I think one of the things, like, you have to really see is, like, all right, how does it start? If it starts to build, like, how does it start to act around these 19s? Like, is that a double top? Or is the short-term price action showing, like, hey, this could actually build into a breakout and, you know, bust over 20? You know, if you really think about it, it was quite a bit higher just a few months ago. So, you know, it does have room to go. You know, it does have room to go. Even though it's up a lot, it still has room to go just because of the reverse split. So definitely something to kind of keep an eye on. It's already got 3 million shares in volume, so that's pretty good. The big key is, right, just like, how does it build into that 19? Don't just blindly come in, because, frankly, what scares me on this one is, like, it collapsed the last couple days. You know, if you go from 20 to 12, that's not like an orderly pullback, a healthy pullback where it's like, oh, that was just some light profit taking. That's like a holy shit, let's get out of this turd kind of profit taking. And that's like what worries me on something like this. So now that you gap up, you're kind of like stuck inside the range where you're under the previous day's highs, but you're not anywhere near low. So you're right in that middle. And the middle is the toughest part to be at when you're trading. There's nothing worse than being in the middle of the range, because you're not at support, you're not at breakout. So what you need to do is start to see how that thing builds as you get closer. Let's take a look at some of these other ones. ANIV's a turd. That's a turd with fleas. It just doesn't have any liquidity. Expedia. You know, Expedia reports wider adjusted loss, lower revenue, blah, blah, blah. I like this one. So this one, you got like a base breakout pattern that's kind of showing up here. They've just reported earnings. They seem like they're getting semi-okay action on it in the pre-market. I would keep this one on the watch list. This one actually moves fairly well. Like, the float on Expedia is it's like 50 million. So it should be able to move good on the news. The question is, what kind of pattern does it build? You know, I'm noticing over the last few days, the first pullback pattern is working better than the ORBs. So first pullback pattern is working better than ORBs. So what's a first pullback, quick pullback pattern? First pullback pattern is, you know, when you get a stock that has news out, you don't just rip it right at the open, right? You let it pull back right into that 9 EMA. You get a green candle to hold, and then you take the trade. So that's the first pullback pattern. That one's been working really well on the earnings plays, way better than the ORBs of late. So I would keep that on the watch list. Really watch for that 9 EMA pull. If it starts to hold there, we'll take it. It's a low risk trade. We'll take it and we'll shred it back. All right. Let's add that to the list. TJ. Yo, is this TJ Maxx? TJX. Is it TJ Maxx? Remember the commercial? How'd it go? TJ Maxx. Yeah, maybe don't remember those things, but they had a nice commercial going. But man, my mom used to take me there all the time. Man, retail stocks stink to trade. And frankly, I don't even know if it's TJ Maxx, but it looks like it. It's got billion share float. Pass. When you get a retail stock, so first of all, billion share float is a lot. But when you get a retail stock that also has a billion share float, it doesn't matter if the news is good or not. Retail stocks stink to trade. And then if you got a billion share float, you're really like taking like really the two crappiest things you can do and combining it into one. So I think that one's just going to be a little bit thick. Not really my cup of tea. This BJ's got some news out. BJ Wholesale Club reports higher fiscal results. If you look here, this one actually, like this is, it's a retail, but it's like a grocery retail. This liquidity on this stinks, but if you see here, like you can rip to all-time highs on this. It's an IPO stock. What do you notice if you think about like what stocks have been the hottest of this year? If you think about what stocks have been the hottest of this year, like what has been really going, see this, like no price action before, IPO. Right? See this, like no price action back here? It's an IPO. Look at the trends on these, right? 19 to 60, DDOG, right? 28 to 71. What do you see here? No price action. So these are like IPO stocks, all the IPO-ish stocks, and I should say ish because there's some that are like a couple years old, but I mean, for the most part, like the ones that are going are recent IPOs from the last 2 years. This FSLY was $10, get to 40. So the theme in the market, the theme of like, at least for speculation plays, like really like hot, sexy movers, has been recent issues. They've been more on the tech side, but LVGO is really, that's a biotech medicine kind of play. mRNA is a medical play. So we may have some room for BJ. And frankly, the name is awesome. Like, how awesome would be like when we're sitting in the chat room all day and we're like, damn, I need this BJ to go, right? I need to get that BJ. And we're just saying that all day. I mean, that alone is worth it. So I think I'm putting on the list just for that, but also on the chart side, right? The IPO-ish stocks have been working, and it's like, whenever like Dick's Sporting Goods has, right, earnings out, we're just sitting there in the chat room all day like, I'm long some Dick's. And then the other guys are like, I'm short some Dick's. And then it's like, you got the guys that like Dick's and don't like Dick's. And then everybody's just having their right, like, I'm long Dick's, I'm short Dick's. And now it's like it's like a battle between good versus evil, like who likes Dick's and don't like Dick's, who knows? And so today, and Dick's Sporting Goods is making a little bit of a comeback. I will say, BJ could be like, the new Dick's, so we're going to play this one. And the float on this should be pretty low. It's only a $3 billion market cap. If you think like a lot of the stocks, like the hottest stocks, if you run a scan and just say like, what are the hottest stocks of the last, like say 90 days? The ones that are going are almost all like IPO type of stocks, at least from what I've seen. So these are like your PTL, ASB, these are all like mostly IPO stocks. You definitely want to keep these, on the list. So BJ's looks pretty good. Good. EXP, APN, junk. Let's see on the downside. We got this ZTO that's got news out. ZTO Express. Earnings beat estimates, revenue misses. That don't sound very good. That don't sound good. That don't sound good. I'd add this to the list. I don't know how the liquidity is going to be on this, but it doesn't look like it's like a tiny float stock. So 11 billion is a nice market cap. We'll see if any liquidity comes in this. Earnings beat estimates, revenue misses. Yeah, maybe it has a chance on the short side if it ORBs. I will say that there's been like the ORB short has not been like a hot play of recent. If you notice, like it's not really. The market's just too strong to like really overload on the short side. So if a stock has like bad news out or bad earnings out, we'll put it on the list. It hasn't been working as clean as it would have like say 2 months ago. We have to always know the market conditions. Like for example, like I like to short. Shorting is fun. It makes you feel smart. It feels good. Stocks drop faster than they go up. And it's just fun to like slaughter some stock. It makes you feel like there's some justice in the world when there sometimes isn't, and it makes you feel like, like, hey, I'm the sheriff of the stock market. That's pretty cool. But that play the shorts haven't been working as good, and sadly, like you always have to adjust. So the play has really been on the long side, but we'll add this to the watch list. I don't know exactly how much heat it's going to have, but frankly, if it busts under this 30 support, like you have room down to like 27, 28, I think we'll have a chance on that. There was some news out yesterday on China stocks. There was some chatter that Congress was going to delist some of these stocks or some bullshit. There's like 0% chance that that happens, but it can put some temporary pressure on China names. Baidu just had earnings out yesterday, and it was getting smoked. You see here, so when the news came out, like we caught a little bit of this. And when the news came out, like it really, you had like some really nice, you had some really nice trenders on these. So you had Momo. So I would keep some of these, like Momo, IQ. See this? Like this is 18, trended to 16. Momo, man, it had. What was that one that's $34? Billy, that was the one that also had a really nice range on it. But keep some of these Chinese stocks. Keep some of these Chinese stocks on your watch list. Both long and short. My guess is that's like, we have like this temporary kind of thing with China, which is like, we say they stink, but then we do something with them, and then they say something, and in the end, like, nothing really ever happens, right? There's a good shot that maybe, like, if we get a good flush out of these things, they may even provide a good rebounding opportunity as they're really all sitting on support. But I would keep Baidu, Billy, and PDD on your watch list. All of those could move either way. We may get one more flush and then turn into a long. Wait for the patterns to emerge. China's going to be in play. Now let's talk about like just some of the other parts of the watch list. ENPH, big gap, not a big gap down, but 3-4% gap down. You've got a nice support here you got some support here at the 60 spot. That was like kind of like the old breakout spot. So maybe even a little bit lower here. And it's not like there's a fudge factor that's like involved in, support resistance, right? Like sometimes, there'll be things that like kind of cross over, cross under, but you got the 9 EMA right up. You're sitting on the 9 EMA. You're sitting on this old breakout spot. So you got 2 levels of support here that could hold. I'm looking to see, like, my plan is, if we get like a quick, it's going to gap down. So a red to green on this, I think triggers the long. If it flushes down at the open, I want to see how it reacts around 59. If it starts to hold there and curls its way back up, I'll look for a 1, 2, 3 pattern to get long on this thing. It looks pretty good. Spotify had like a big rip. Frankly, I think we get a short out of this at near 200. So one more rip on this thing. You could put JD on, but JD's thicker than Tasty's mama. It's thick. One more push on Spot. We get a short out of it at 200. You're starting to get real extended. So it's been running the last couple days because of Joe Regan. I don't know. Joe Regan the vegan, whatever that means. So they signed Joe Regan the vegan, and Spotify started pushing up. Now, like, you're really getting this thing going. One more spike. It's going to give us a short. I don't know who Joe Regan the vegan is, but here we go. The thing's moved like $8 billion in market cap for, adding some podcast thingy. I don't even know. Who listens to podcasts anymore? You can't even see somebody's face. Like, why would I want to listen to somebody's podcast? That sounds crazy. I'd much rather watch a YouTube video, but who knows? That's just me. Never listened to a podcast because you can't see the person's face. So then you don't know if the information's any good. Like, imagine you listen to some podcast, the guy's like, here, breathe deeply. It's going to save your life. Be happy. Be this, be that, be mindful. And you're like, all right, sure. But you don't know what that guy looks like. So then, like, he could look like a total creeper, right? He could look like a total creeper, Chester the Molester, and he's telling you to do all this shit on his podcast. You can't see his fucking face. So next thing you know, like, I don't know. I can't trust something like that, so I just leave it alone. Like, fuck that. Then you gotta Google the person while you're watching the thing. I don't know. So I short 200. 200. I'm taking this thing down. 200. I'm taking this thing down. Fucking podcast. Nah. BYND narrow range candle yesterday. See this kind of candle? When you got a pattern that's like starting to set up, usually if you get a couple narrow range candles where like you pop up, you fade back. That's actually really bullish. I think if we start to get this one going, we've got a 145 breakout. Like, this thing is going to be hot, right? This thing is going to be hot. And I think this thing, man, I like this thing. We've been trading this pretty much every day anyways. SB, which stock are you referring to? Yo, this one probably has a little bit of room. Yeah, it's a rebounding pattern. Somebody just asked about that. I would roll with that. Like, that's not too bad. All right, that's our list. ENPH, BYD are the favorites. We've got Spot, Expedia, BJ, ZTO. On the other side, you got Chinese stocks. We got all sorts of things going on. Let's have some fun. You know the drill. It's a pizza party. What was the other one? ZTO. We got ACB. Oh, yeah. Expedia, BJ, good. And watch that pen. Watch that pen later. Like, that one's going to have... Man, that one's getting a little bit long in the tooth. I took a short on it yesterday, did okay. Like, made a couple pennies, but I think, frankly... Yeah, I would keep that definitely on the watch list. BJ's going to have a chance if the spread tightens up. Expedia looks good. Let's get to work. Let's have some fun. You know what we got to do. Be good, guys. Let's, yesterday in the morning was a little bit choppy. Sometimes what we always got to be doing is just be mindful at the open. Be mindful at the open, and then when it's time, it's time. Cool. All right, let's have some fun.